Let's continue with the story of Moses and the fourth location mentioned in the Quran in relation to his journey. After Moses settled and had a job and wife in Madian, he stayed there for a long time, but he was determined to go back to Miz.
As he was on his way to Miz with his family, he reached the valley of Torah, where God called him, "Verily I am thy Lord, therefore in my presence put off thy shoes, thou art in the sacred valley Torah." The sacred valley Torah is the location where Moses spoke to God. This valley is next to a very high and huge mountainous structure called the Tor. The Quran says, "And we called him from the right side of the Tor and made him draw near to us." This implies that the very high and huge mountainous structure called the Tor is in the same location of the sacred valley of Torah.
The question that comes to mind here is, where is this location? Where is the sacred valley of Torah, and in which country?
Let's check the map. If Moses is returning from his family from Madian, then clearly he would enter Miz from the south, which implies he would pass through Abyssinia and the eastern north of Sudan. Indeed, on the current borders of Sudan and Abyssinia, and specifically on the Abyssinian highlands, is a valley named Tor. You can find this information in the book of James Bruce, a Scottish explorer who was the first to follow the Blue Nile from its source until it meets the White Nile. On the 29th of November 1772, Bruce arrived in Aswan and published his book, Expeditions to Discover the Sources of the Nile between 1769 and 1773. It's considered one of the most authentic books that examine the River Nile Valley. About his trip from Ethiopia to Egypt, he mentioned a significant piece of information. He referred to a town called Al-Gadarif, a town at the border between northern Sudan and the Abyssinian highlands. Its true name was Tor. Bruce illustrates the map of Miz before the recent borders between the north and the south. On the map you can easily locate Tor next to Abyssinian Heights. From a geographical perspective, Tor, or the city of Al-Gadarif, is located in the Ethiopian hills at the border with Sudan. Rivers flow into this place and create fertile rich soils that retain water and provide essential nutrients to plants. In fact, it's considered to be one of the top agricultural areas in Sudan, with high fertile valleys around the rivers of Atbah, State, Al-Harad and Bislam, highly known for corn and sesame all around the world. As for the animal population in Al-Gadarif, around 7 million different types of cattle come from nearby neighbourhoods seeking water and food. God describes this area in the Quran as the blessed spot. The blessing refers to the diversity of the rivers, agricultural crops, trees and food, which applies to the city of Al-Gadarif. This area and Sudan in general is considered to be the food basket of the world. There is no other area as blessed agriculturally as this area in the entire Arabian and African region, just in terms of the number of rivers, the variety of agricultural harvests and the greenery.
So what is the story of the very high and huge mountainous structure called the Tor, or the Tower, the fifth location identified in the Quran? "And we called him from the right side of the Tor and made him draw near to us." The Tor is a very high and huge mountainous structure and was mentioned in the Quran as the Tor Sina or Sinai, the Tor Sanin, and just as the Tor.
It's recorded in Arabic dictionaries and scholars of the science of tafsir that Sinai and Sanin are known Abyssinian nouns. Indeed, if you check the map of the Abyssinian highlands, you will find names like Sanin, Semien, Sina, Senan. In fact, in the Abyssinian highlands you will find a mountain called Debra Sina, or Mount Sinai in English. The exact name of the mountain is also found in modern Egypt and is called Mount Sinai. You will also find in Abyssinian highlands Mount Sanin. And what's interesting is that in the Abyssinian highlands, despite the difference in the names, Sanin, Semien, Senan, Sina, etc., they all represent one mountainous structure, one range, one plateau, called the Tower Plateau. From a geological perspective, the Abyssinian highlands is considered to be one block, moulded since creation from one origin. This range is called the Abyssinian Tower, also referred to as the African Tower, because it is the biggest group of mountains with a height that extends in one chain in Africa for a very long distance, 519,278 kilometers squared. That's why Ethiopia is sometimes referred to as a tower. Even the highest peak in Africa, Mount Kilimanjaro, extends only to 4,000 kilometers squared. The Abyssinian Heights has been referred to as the African Plateau or the African Roof, with different heights exceeding 4,000 metres to a maximum of 4,500 metres. As for the Sinai or Sina mountain in modern Egypt, Its average height is only 2,300 metres, and the area of Sinai altogether is 61,000 kilometres squared. Most importantly, the Sinai that you know today in modern Egypt was not called Sinai in the time of Moses and the Pharaoh. It was called Mafkat, which means the land of turquoise. Also, the so-called Mount of Tor in Sinai in modern Egypt was then called Retho. There is no single evidence of the usage of the name Senin or Sina for any of the mountains in the turquoise land that was later named Sinai or Sina. The Quran has to refer to known nouns with the real names as they were used at the time, and there is no mention of Mafkat or Retho in Moses' story. What was referred to in the story was the Tor Senin and the Tor Sina, which are known nouns from an Abyssinian origin, as documented in the authentic Arabic dictionaries and as illustrated by scholars of tafsir.
Let's get back to the terminology that describes the Abyssinian highlands as the Tower Heights. The word tower simply means the highest location